It was a cold, foggy evening in the quiet town of Blackwood. The streets were empty, and the only sound was the distant ticking of the old clock tower. Detective Henry Blake sat in his small office, sipping hot tea and reading the newspaper. He was a tall, sharp-eyed man with a reputation for solving the most puzzling cases. But tonight, he was bored. Nothing exciting had happened in weeks. Just as he was about to close his office and head home, there was a knock on the door. A young woman, dressed in a black coat and holding a leather bag, stepped inside. She looked nervous and kept glancing over her shoulder. "Detective Blake, I need your help," she said in a shaky voice. "My name is Claire Wilson. I work as a secretary for Mr. Edward Harper, the town solicitor. Something terrible has happened." Detective Blake gestured for her to sit down. "Tell me everything, Miss Wilson." Clara took a deep breath. "Mr. Harper was found dead in his office this morning. The police say it was a heart attack, but I don't believe it. He was perfectly healthy. And there's something else." She opened her bag and pulled out a small, locked box. This was in his desk drawer. "I think it's connected to his death." Blake took the box and examined it. It was old, made of dark wood with a brass lock. "Do you know what's inside?" he asked. Clara shook her head. "No. Mr. Harper always kept it locked. But a few days ago, he told me that if anything happened to him, I should take the box and bring it to you. He said it contained a secret that could ruin someone's life." Blake's curiosity was piqued. He fetched a set of lock-picking tools from his drawer and carefully opened the box. Inside, he found a stack of old letters, a photograph, and a small gold key. The photograph showed a young Edward Harper standing with a man Blake recognized instantly, Sir Richard Blackwood, the wealthiest man in town. The letters were addressed to Sir Richard and signed by Edward Harper. They were filled with threats and demands for money. Blake's eyes widened as he read the last letter. "If you don't pay me £10,000 by the end of the month, I will reveal your secret to the world." Clara gasped. Mr. Harper was blackmailing Sir Richard. "But why?" "That's what we need to find out," Blake said. He picked up the gold key, and this key might lead us to the answer. The next morning, Blake and Claire went to Edward Harper's office. Police had already cleared the scene, but Blake wanted to take a closer look. He searched the room and found a hidden compartment in the desk. Inside was a small safe. The gold key fit perfectly. The safe contained a diary. Blake flipped through the pages and discovered that Edward Harper had been investigating Sir Richard for years. According to the diary, Sir Richard had been involved in illegal business dealings and had bribed officials to cover his tracks. Harper had planned to expose him, but decided to blackmail him instead. Blake closed the diary. Harper's greed got the better of him. He thought he could control Sir Richard, but he underestimated him. Claire frowned. "Do you think Sir Richard killed Mr. Harper?" "It's possible," Blake said, "but we need proof." They decided to visit Sir Richard at his mansion. The butler led them to the study, where Sir Richard was sitting by the fireplace. He looked calm and composed, but his eyes narrowed when he saw the diary in Blake's hand. "Detective Blake, what brings you here?" Sir Richard asked, his voice cold. Blake placed the diary on the table. "We found this in Edward Harper's safe. It contains some interesting information about your past." Sir Richard's face turned pale. He stood up and walked to the window. "Harper was a fool. He thought he could blackmail me, but I wasn't going to let him ruin my life." "So you killed him," Blake said. Sir Richard turned around, his eyes filled with anger. "Yes, I did. I had no choice. He was going to expose me. I couldn't let that happen. Blake nodded. I understand. But now you'll have to face the consequences. Sir Richard laughed bitterly. Do you really think I'll let you arrest me? I have connections, detective. I'll never go to prison. Before Blake could respond, the sound of police sirens filled the air. Clara had called the police while they were talking. Moments later, officers rushed into the room and arrested Sir Richard. As they led him away, Blake turned to Clara. You did well. Harper's secret is safe now, and justice will be served. Clara smiled. Thank you, detective. I couldn't have done it without you. Blake looked out the window as the fog began to clear. Another mystery solved, but he knew there would always be more secrets waiting to be uncovered.